Welcome back, everybody, to Good Will Podcasting with Connor, Dan, and Stone, your movie podcast that today is talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple. Yes, only after 6 months from the last movie that came out back in 2025, we now have the sequel, the fourth film in this franchise. Once again, it has Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, which we were introduced to at the end of the last film. Also Spike. We got Dr. Kelson in there. Of course, everybody's favorite, Mr. Sampson. And we're going to talk about how those stories continued in this new movie today. We're going to talk about spoilers, spoiler freeze, what happens at the end of the film that we won't spoil just yet. But we're not going to talk about it alone. We have a guest on for the first time, a new guest on Good Will Podcasting, a dear friend of me and Dan's, now of Connor's, and hopefully now of Good Will Podcasting. This is Emmett, aka hold on, he just told us how to say this. I Super Eba. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you guys for having me. I'm so excited to be here to get to talk about this lovely movie with you guys.
Yeah, we saw your review of you liking it. So it would have been wild if you're like, man, I hated this movie and we had you on. That's some fun little discourse.
Yeah.
But I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a while. You have been one of the highlights personally of my content creating career so far. Me and Dan met you in New York City at a TikTok event in September. The event itself was interesting. If any TikTok representatives are listening, they're probably not because they don't respond to my emails. It was trying to be super informative the entire time, but the cool thing about it was the connections, the people you got to meet along the way. And Sean, a good friend of the podcast, it was mostly just me, Sean, and Dan with each other the entire time we were at this event. And then the last third of the night, I would say, we met you. You kind of like talked to us, came into our group a little bit, and then we just chilled the rest of the night. And we went to Taco Bell. One of the best nights personally that I've had in a long time, man.
Honestly, same. It was great. I kept talking about Taco Bell. I roped everyone into a lovely trip. Stone, you're actually my favorite person I've ever met in a bathroom. So that is a really high honor. I realized that.
Right, how many early have you met in a bathroom?
Pretty much the one, but it's a really good one to have.
Okay, I think I even remember the bathroom, so maybe it was a good interaction that we had. Yeah, no, I think that it was not at the urinals. Like I think we were washing our hands or something like that.
Yes,
it wasn't too weird. Yeah, no.
Weird. Honestly, really respected your passion for Taco Bell because one of the takes I feel strongly about, which is most of my takes, but this is perhaps the strongest, is that Taco Bell is just the king of all fast food, and it's not a remote competition.
I'm so with you. I've never agreed with anything more, honestly.
I do love Taco Bell. It's probably top 3, but I'd probably put Chick-fil-A 1.
No, Chick-fil-A is boring.
Chick-fil-A is pretty good. Their food's always really good. It feels high quality for fast food. Not to be, go too deep here at the beginning of the episode, but I have to ask, Emmett, what was going through your mind when you found out that they were reintroducing the quesarito?
You're never going to believe this. I have never had a quesarito until they reintroduced it. So it was kind of a whole new world for me. And I liked it quite a bit.
Wait, well, what's everyone think of the Midnight Baja?
I haven't had it.
I also haven't had it.
It's delicious.
I should have sent it to Emmett. I saw this video of these people like wanting to get Baja Blast out of I guess what are those called? The soda machines. And the grate at the bottom of the right underneath the Baja Blast was just like melted away almost. And it's like, yeah, it's good shit right there.
That's awesome. Damn. One of my favorite things about the TikTok event, like I met you guys and I was so happy to get to talk to you guys. You gave me some very useful life tips actually. And we had a great time. And then I was like, I hope I can, keep in touch with these guys. I wonder when the next time I'll get to talk to them is. And like the next day, Stone had sent me an Instagram reel about Taco Bell. And I was like, all right, we're good.
I would say it's funny that you mentioned that too, because what I was thinking about was not that real, but the fact that Instagram ads, man, they better than TikTok. I hate TikTok shop, but Instagram ads, I bought something today because I was fed an ad on Instagram. Arizona Iced Tea and Fallout, the show, did a collab. And I was like, pretty cool shirt. And I sent it to our friend Sean. Sean also bought the shirt after I sent it to him. So the Instagram ads are really working. But I saw an ad that Hollister was doing a collab with Taco Bell. And they had all this Taco Bell merch with Hollister clothing. Did you buy any of that?
I didn't, but I got really close after you sent it.
Big fan.
That's true.
I think there's like sweatpants that had like every single hot sauce down the side of it or something like that. Pretty dope. I have too many shirts, so I couldn't get any more.
Fair.
I think that congratulations is in order though. Since the last time we met you, you are now a engaged man.
That is true. That is. Thank you. Yeah, that's the life advice. It was on our way to Taco Bell. I got to ask you guys tips and tricks because I think I left a week later to propose, so it was fresh on my mind.
What tips and tricks did we share? And did you actually implement any of those into the occasion?
The tips and tricks were really just all of your own stories, but it did help, I would say. Okay. I think, yeah. I don't want to get.
Did everything go smoothly, like as you planned it, or?
It went mostly smooth, except I just started panicking towards the end, but like it was smooth. We had a photographer waiting. He scoped out the area while we were walking there, and he was like, "This is where I'm going to be." So we got over there, and I realized that my fiance Kylie had her jacket on and like her bag, and I was like, "Oh, we got to get that off for the picture." So as we're about to cross this bridge, I'm like, "Oh, you should take your jacket off and leave it here on the side before we go over." Like that's a normal thing that you throw out there,
as one does. Yeah,
yeah, just across the bridge. She knew it was coming anyway, though, so it was okay.
I was just about to ask that.
If it makes you feel any better, I proposed with dog poop in my pocket. So
really,
yeah,
Connor.
We went to a park that we have gone to like multiple times with our dogs, and we get there, and I forgot that my wife's dog shits everywhere we go. Like if it's a new place or just an unfamiliar place, and there's no trash cans. Like the time we went before that, I remembered afterward, I just threw it in my truck bed and then threw it away when we got home. So I'm just going to leave that in the park. I'm a good person. But yeah. So, I mean, it could be worse.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's a great story, though.
Yeah. Do you still have the poop?
No.
Okay. I don't know if it was like a freeze it situation. Put it.
That was the important part.
The more important part, yeah. I would say when we were talking to Emmett, it seemed like the best proposal story, now I'm not going to reveal Sean's, but was probably Dan's, and his was the most recent too. So I feel like his was a good one to go off of for you. How was, I mean, the guys know here, and probably our audience does too, that I live next to Disney World, and I'm curious. Looks like you spent a lot of time in Tokyo Disney. Like, how was that?
It was pretty incredible. We did one day at Tokyo Disney Sea, which is like the newer kind of park, and it's all water themed and like really new state of the art rides and stuff. And the theming was like incredible. It like I still, everyone says it's like one of the best parks in the world. I don't know if I'd go that far, just because I'm like nostalgia biased for the ones that I grew up in. But it was really great. And then the more like stereotypical Disneyland was just incredible. The ride, they have the Beauty and the Beast ride there, and it was like, Disney magic, you hear that a lot, and it's like, you're a kid, you're going. But this, I really didn't know how they did half of the tricks on the ride. I was like genuinely impressed by what I was seeing. So it was really cool.
So they need you as a spokesperson. So that was probably the best ride was Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, I think so. It was really cool.
I need to get Connor. Have you been to Disney World?
Once in 4th grade.
And Dan, you've never been, right?
I feel like I didn't get the full experience though, because my mom was handicapped at the time, so I got to skip all the lines.
That seems like a better experience.
Yeah, no, I mean definitely, but like I feel like
better from you know what I mean. Yeah.
I went to Epic Universe and I stayed in line for 2 hours in my very first ride. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And for me and my wife, we both paid for $350 fast passes. Cause I'm like, I'm not standing in line all day. So they got $700 like that.
God damn.
Yep, it works. I mean, we get to ride every single ride.
I don't know the truth behind it, but I've seen it on social media that it's actually cheaper now to like fly to Tokyo Disney, spend a week there than it is to go to Florida Disney.
It probably isn't that far. I mean, in like US dollars, it was probably $30 for the ticket to the park. We got like fast pass for everything for like, a couple bucks. Like it really, the food was like $4 or $5. Like it really, if it wasn't for the flight, it would definitely be like way cheaper for a week there. but it might balance out. Honestly, if you're like staying in a Disney hotel too, it's probably not far off.
I think one thing I regret the most when I was in the Marine Corps is that 3 days a year, active duty military can get into Disney World for free. And I should have done that.
That's cool.
That's clutch. I have to ask Emmett, the opinions towards, well, maybe getting back into what our conversation will be about for this episode, the opinions towards 28 years later. Now, you've shared your opinions on Disney. You've shared your opinions on me and Dan. Hopefully those are all the same, but with the movie, it was mixed. I know that me and Dan personally, we were on our episode with a guest. Connor was not there. I enjoyed the movie. It actually made my top 10 of the year, sneaked in at 10. Dan, that did not happen with his list. But did you, what were your thoughts about the first movie? Did you like it?
Yeah, I'm happy to say that I loved the first movie. I saw it twice in theaters, and I watched it like 2 weeks ago before this one came out, just to re-enter this world. And I was so glad I loved it again, because there's been so much discourse over the last 6 months, and I thought some of it might wear off on me. And I get a lot of it, don't get me wrong, but I really do love that movie. I think there's some scenes in there that probably some of my favorite of all of last year. It made my top 5 of last year. I'm really high on that movie.
Nice. I will say something I've noticed about the discourse too. Obviously, some people, Dan being an example, didn't enjoy it, but I see a lot of people in the horror community really not like it, which unfortunately, obviously, is the targeted demographic for this film. So I just find that so fascinating, and it does seem like they're like this one a lot more. But Connor, what did you think? Did you watch the entire franchise? I was seeing your Letterboxd logs.
Yeah,
like,
I've never seen any of these before, like Wednesday.
So what are your thoughts about The Infected? Do you blame the monkeys or the chimps?
Yeah. I mean, who else are you going to blame? The activists? Yeah, really, it's the scientists, I guess. But no, I think this is like one of maybe 2 franchises where the movies have gotten better as they've gone. So I mostly like 28 Years Later. I have it a 3.5. There's some stuff I didn't like. I wish Aaron Taylor Johnson was in it more. It also felt strange to me that he's like raising his kid to almost feel like what it's like be the next like leader of this tribe or this like group that's on the island, and then like his kid disappears and we don't see him at all, like trying to go out and look for his kid. Are we spoiling 28 Years Later, Stone, right now?
Yeah. We
okay.
can. The first movie?
Okay. It also just, I hate that they just skipped over Spike's entire trip back with this baby that isn't eating, and he had no issues with the infected. He didn't have blood on him anywhere.
That's a good point.
Just made it with a hungry, crying baby all the way back and then just disappeared. But I still enjoyed it a lot.
Oh, so that's good, because 28 Days Later, you weren't a big fan of the first one? That was the worst one for you?
I liked, yeah. I still have it at 3 star.
Was it the way it was shot? Like, did that bother you at all? Did you know about that going into it?
If you stop cutting me off, I'll tell you.
I'm so sorry.
Just give me shit. No, yeah, you're 100% right though. It's the way it was shot and the way it was edited. I like the acting. I like the script. I like the story. I really wasn't a fan of the way it was like pieced together and everything.
I'm with you. I think 28 Years Later is like really, really, or 28 Days Later is really, really average. I feel like it's something that people, it's a movie I have a list of movies that I like respect more than I enjoy. It's definitely one of them. And I kind of feel the same way about 28 Days as I do about 28 Years, but I think 28 Days is a better movie. I also think 28 Days, it's interesting, and then you get to this, like, the ending of that movie very much gets turned into like, oh, are they gonna rape this woman or not? Like, that stuff to me is just so lazy, and like, I think it's a really tired angle to take with stories, and like pretty dumb. And I just think the movie's ugly. Like, and I understand it's the point, but I'm just like, sure, but it's not enjoyable to look at or watch. So yeah, I have it like 3 stars. I think it's okay.
That's what I have it at.
and I'm one of the only people. I really like 28 Weeks Later. I don't think anyone else does.
I loved it.
I think it's a really interesting movie about like I like seeing the governmental response and the way that like I think it gets really into that and how dehumanizing it all is and the kind of them getting to the point where they're not even distinguishing between like infected and people and just that level of like I find that movie to be very real. And I think especially right now it feels relevant and I think people brush it aside as like a stupid movie, like the most action heavy zombie movie, but like it's really not. It has a lot to say, I think, but I do like it.
Did the editing and the 28 years later bother you at all, Connor? Because I went back and watched 28 Days Later. The editing, the way that Danny Boyle edits his movies is so like fast, and he'll show you random sequences and then he'll just cut back to something else super fast. Like something I noticed while rewatching 28 Days Later is when Cillian Murphy is waking up after he has been saved, for a split second, you see the hillside and it looks like, I can't remember the lead, the female lead's name in that movie, but it looks like she's trying to spell help out on the hillside, but it says hell because she hasn't finished the P yet. And you see that just for a split second and it cuts back. I mean, 28 years later is like that so much. Do you think did the editing still bother you in 28 years later?
No, it was more like the editing in 28 Days. Like there's a scene where like it's for like 45 seconds and it feels like an eternity. Where like there's just this little sliver taking up like 20% of the corner. And it's like stuff like that. And then like the main part of the movie's still going, and then eventually it just like drags down. It was like that type of editing that I really didn't like. It's not like the quick cuts.
Interesting. So with Nia DaCosta, it's so fascinating to me when it comes to 20 that they decided to do this. Like I remember me and you talking about this, Dan, and they filmed these movies back to back, which is why we're getting this one so close. And for a second, I thought that this was 28 weeks later, like the release date. It wasn't. That was a nice theory that I had for a little bit. I think this is like 29 or 30 weeks after the one came out last year.
Would have been cool.
But yeah, what I find fascinating about her taking the helm of this second project is the fact that she's an American director, because these feel like such British stories. Obviously you have a British writer, Danny Boyle's involved with it, Cillian Murphy, like all this is very European, and then they bring in Nia DaCosta. So I think that was super fascinating, such an interesting decision, especially coming after, I'm assuming she was hired for this. Obviously they probably had seen the Candyman in her previous work, but after the Marvels, just being like, no, this is tried and true, like a horror director. But you've watched Hedda, Dan. Emmett, have you seen Hedda?
I have not yet.
How much of themes in the way that she films that movie do you see in this one? Because it literally is her last project just came out.
Yeah, so I think the DP is Sean Bobbitt on both of them, I want to say.
Okay.
I think both movies are beautiful. I love the way they look. Hedda is it's a classic story. It gets compared to Hamlet a lot. Like it's a very old story. I think it's Norwegian, I want to say, but it's kind of like this is her spin on it. I said it's kind of like it's sort of Saltburn-y, if Saltburn was interesting or well written, in that like it deals with the entire movie. Basically, you're watching Tessa Thompson's character manipulate a house party, and there's a lot of different angles to that. Her like ex lover is there, her husband is there. There's a layer of it that's like that's like about sexuality, like her sexuality, and she's bisexual. There's a layer that kind of has to do with class. Like there's kind of a class division there. It has stuff to say about gender and race. But she's kind of like playing multiple different games with everyone, and it's really interesting. It's kind of like a whodunit almost in a way as it goes. It reminds me a little. It's a little bit Knives Out-y. It's a lot of fun. Like it's a fun movie. Whoa. That was a Bears touchdown. I'm excited as well. But yeah, I think Hedda's no worries at all. I think Hedda's really, really good. And I don't think it really got pushed much, like from a marketing perspective. And I kind of feel the same way about this movie, which seems to be doing okay so far, but I didn't see much buzz about it. And I had a lot of people when I was talking about it saying, like, I didn't even know it was coming out, which I think is a shame. But yeah, I think Hedda is really good, and I think people will like it if they watch it.
I mean, I'm not going to ask. I want to ask it though, but do you like this movie better than Hedda? I know you're really high on this.
I like them both about the same. They're so different.
That's
Like
sick.
they're like you. I didn't really answer your question. Like thematically, they're not. They're very different movies.
They're very different movies. Okay.
Yeah, and I think like it is interesting, like you said, like seeing a filmmaker step into like this sandwich between Danny Boyle movies. I think he's directing the third, right?
I read up on that. He wants to come back for it, so probably more than likely.
Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. You know, it's not something you really see often, and I think it's a big challenge for her, especially because, like you said, this is a classic, like British kind of IP now that means a lot to people. I also think like with that ending, bringing in this Jimmy Savile character, like, and then being like, here you go, American director, handle this, decades of trauma
Crazy.
for Britain, like, is a lot. But I liked the ending of that movie. Really rubbed me the wrong way, and it left such a bad taste in my mouth for a variety of reasons, and I had a lot of concerns about what they were going to do with that here, and I was like, I thought they did a good job. So um also, Caleb Williams is just absolutely him. Just have to, but yeah, very different movies, but both very good.
Caleb Williams, is that a character from 28 Years Later? Just kidding.
Yes,
I know.
Yeah, he's
I know.
a zombie.
All right. Well, let's get into the sequel. I got a little synopsis here of it. As Spike is inducted into Jimmy Crystal's gang on the mainland, Dr. Kelson makes a discovery that could alter the world. As we've said, this is directed by Nia DaCosta, again, written by Alex Garland. This is like a trilogy that he has presented. The third one is greenlit, so it'll be really interesting to see how he wants to conclude this story. But for actors, the main ones we got here is Jack O'Connell, Alfie Williams playing Spike again, Aaron Kellyman, who plays Jimmy Inc., and then also, of course, we have Ray Fiennes playing Dr. Kelson. But I want to mention one more actor here, Chi Lewis Perry.
Mm-hmm.
That is my man Samson. That is maybe the most memorable character, I would say, of these two movies, which I don't think anybody predicted, but it was extremely welcomed and extremely cool. But Emmett, you are our guest. If you want to give us your spoiler-free review of this movie, and then maybe we'll go Connor, Dan, and then me at the end.
Totally. Yeah, I really, really enjoyed this movie. I gave it a 4.5. I think it's going to stay around there. I do want to see it again soon, but I really love it. Kind of like Dan was saying, I was fascinated with where it was going to go after the ending of the last one, especially with Nia DaCosta joining as the director. And I kind of thought it was going to be like this high energy action. Oh, the Jimmies are like Power Rangers running around. Like I didn't know what to expect at all. And it wasn't that at all. And, I feel like the whole point of these movies is that it's not what you think it's going to be. Somehow this still wasn't what I thought it was going to be in a really great way. I think it's barely a zombie movie, which I think is so interesting. And it's so empathetic to the zombies of this world, the infected, in a way I just find so interesting, and I want to honestly see more of in the future. We'll get into that more with spoilers. I'll leave it at that for now.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm with you. I saw this with my mom this afternoon, and both of us were like, I feel like there hasn't been that many infected running around. Like, we see maybe 10 in this movie, it feels like. So I just watched all these for the first time within the last 5 days, as I mentioned earlier. I think this one, if I look back in September at this entire franchise, I think this one is probably going to have the most memorable kills to me. Especially with the barn scene. Without getting into spoilers, that was baffling. And I really like the opening of this one too, with the entire like indoor pool. Like Stone said, Samson is going to go down as one of the most memorable characters in this entire franchise. And I definitely didn't expect the end, like what they decided to do with the Doctor's character.
Yeah.
I
really like this. I think it almost was nice, like how much I just disliked the first movie because my expectations for this were honestly pretty low. I was excited about Nia stepping into the director's chair, but I wasn't sure. There were so many ways for this story to develop. And Emmett, I like what you said about it being a very empathetic story, and I think it's interesting. And something I might talk about in a video is we just got, and I don't know if you saw this, we just got We Bury the Dead, which is another zombie movie that's not a zombie movie. It's a movie about like personal relationships. It's a movie about kind of like I was talking about with 28 Weeks, like governmental overreach and just lack of respect for human life. And I think we all watch a lot of movies, and I think like there are people who watch a lot more movies than us too. And I think people get, when you watch a lot of stuff, you want to see different variations of things. You see things a few times and you're like, all right, like what are we really doing here that I haven't seen before? So you want to see like a framework for a story, and then you want to see it pivot and be something else. And you want to see tones blended together. And this movie does all of that. And it really effectively uses comedy. There's a lot of comedy in this, but it also, this is the most upsetting, horrifying movie in the franchise. There's a scene that was a little bit like pushing like torture porn for me a little bit, and I was like, all right, which apparently they like dialed back, if you can believe it. But the fact that that was just one, like watching that, I was like, I don't feel like watching a full movie of this. Like, I get it. This what's happening here is too shallow and unexplored with the Jimmys and with Jimmy Crystal to like focus on this. I need more. So, but that scene was effective. Definitely very gnarly, and it moved the plot forward really well. So I was like, that's fine. But yeah, I think it's a really beautiful story at like just taking kind of the best of humanity and the worst and showcasing both of them. And they're both kind of looking for something and searching for something and meaning and purpose and like a feeling that what they're doing has some type of validity to it, or they're kind of looking for a reason to exist and do what they do in this world that's so completely fucked. So I think it's really good, and every performance is great, and I think the main ones being Rafe and Jack. Like it's kind of a vehicle for them to act, but I thought Erin Kellyman was great. I was happy to see that. She's I think kind of the X factor performance in this, where if that performance was bad, it would be like it would hold the movie back a bit. But if it's good, it allows it to be better, because Alfie Williams kind of needs someone to play off of, and that's what he gets with her. So yeah, I was so pleasantly surprised by this, and I think this will absolutely be high on my top 10 like horror movies of the year, and it's going to be higher on my overall list hopefully at the end of the year. So I loved it.
Stone, before you go, can someone answer for me and possibly the audience? Is this still just in like Europe, or is this spread to the entire world now?
It's the entire world.
Just
okay.
Oh wait,
it's just in the UK. It's just in the UK. They basically explained it. Yeah, they basically explained in the first movie how these movies kind of ignore 28 weeks later. That's important information for you because you have just watched this franchise. Yeah. There's like one line of dialogue in the first movie that completely erases 28 weeks later, because what happens at the very end of 28 weeks later, if I'm remembering correctly, is that the virus spreads. Yeah. It's now in Paris. It's now in another city. And 28 years later, they tell you, like, for a split second, they're like, we pushed everything back to the UK.
That's why I was confused.
Yes. So basically, what has happened is it's just the UK. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Navy guy in the first one says if you touch mainland, they're just going to leave you. So that's why I was like, but it spread. So okay, thank you.
Yeah, they basically said screw the UK. We'll just keep on. We'll just keep on going with our lives, and they can just try to survive the infected zombies. Super interesting. I mean, what Alex Garland does with the lore in this world is just so unexpected and fascinating, and I really enjoy it, especially with everything that happens with Samson in this movie. But I mean, Dan, you said a lot of the things that I wanted to highlight in my spoiler free review. The fact that this movie is so violent, way more violent than the first movie. It's 28 years later. It's not even close. I cannot remember anything in that movie that lives up to what happens in the barn sequence in this film. And Dan, you are right. For a second, I thought it was going to be a little bit too much, but they do cut away. I think they begin to show you what they're about to do, and then they cut, and it's already happened. So I like that they made that decision. I like that they cut it back. The fact that you have scenes like that, and at the exact same time, the other storyline that is going on is so funny. It is crazy that this movie was able to do that. And it's really impressive. Ray Fiennes, I think that the fact that he is just so good in everything he is in, and he pushes himself. He's not scared to do whatever is needed for this script. He really puts himself out there. He's so memorable. He's so good. And his character has so much heart, but he's so smart as well. And he's analyzing a certain character in this movie when they first meet. And he's like, let me try to figure this out real quick so I can maybe save myself, but also probably save this person as well. It's just so fascinating. And Jack O'Connell's job in this movie is so difficult because he not only has to be absolutely terrifying, but he also mixes, again, so much of that humor with his performance. And he can't be so funny that you don't take him seriously anymore, because then it just ruins the character. And he never gets to that point. But then you also need to give this villain, like you have to do with every good villain that's ever existed, a logical reason why he is doing the things that he is doing. And for a split second, you kind of feel sympathy for him. And I think that's really impressive, both from a writing standpoint and also a performance standpoint from Jack. And I think, Emmett, you alluded to it, and I mean, a lot of people have said this, how surprising. You thought you knew what was going to happen in this movie, and then it completely subverted your expectations. Where I really get that is the fact that the main character of the first movie really is Spike. Obviously, you have Aaron Taylor Johnson, you have Jodie Comer, but he is there throughout the entire thing. He is the main character. He has a lot to do in this movie, but I would say he's like third bill. It's really Ray Fiennes and Jack O'Connell, which I wasn't expecting at all. And it's not that Spike is less important. It's just like, and this might get into my spoiler talk, I feel like Spike is the audience. He's somebody who is being introduced to this infected world, to this universe, and he's meeting different individuals along the way. And we are like him, and we're just witnessing what is happening and how people process this trauma. So he doesn't necessarily need to be the lead. And I have to admit, what I love most about this movie is that I have no idea where it's going, which is crazy because it's a planned trilogy, and every single movie has just been so unexpected. Nobody expected what happened in the first movie. Some people liked it, some people didn't. Nobody expected what happened in this movie. I got no answers for the third. Zero. I know that some of the actors that are going to be in it, but that's about it. All right, spoiler talk. We'll go with that.
Yeah,
Connor. Yeah.
Did you know that Cillian Murphy was going to be in this?
Yeah, because of you. It's not totally your fault. Okay. So I was laying in bed one night, like just scrolling TikTok before falling asleep. This was like, it was actually last night, and your video popped up about this. And why do you look confused?
I posted that this morning. How did you see it last night?
Maybe it wasn't you. No, I watched yours. No, it was someone else's because I watched yours this morning, but it verified it. But I was scrolling and someone's popped up.
Okay.
One of our mutuals. and I dropped my phone behind our bed. And it just kept playing on repeat. So I heard Cillian Murphy over and over, and I tried to plug my ears while I was reaching. And then when
That's
yours popped up,
devastating.
that's when that's where I got confused. But I just watched yours, and yours verified it, so I knew he was coming.
Okay. I would say I did have somebody yell at me on Instagram saying "Yo, spoiler warning." I mentioned Cillian Murphy's name 14 seconds into that movie or into that video. So I'm like, if you don't scroll away by then, that is your own fault. I'm not spoiling anything for you. But yeah, it was also, I think, a known fact that he was probably going to be appearing in this movie, because the article that I read, when the reactions for this film came out, they greenlit the third one, because I was scared about that. My brother loves these movies. I've been talking about it a lot with him. I'm like, I don't know if we're gonna get the third one, because the first one didn't make that much money. And Dan, you said you think this movie's doing good. It's unfortunately not. I think it's only opening to a $15 million opening weekend. Not the best, unfortunately, but it doesn't matter because the movie's already greenlit. But even when they said that, it was a Deadline article. I believe it was published back in the middle of December. It says Cillian Murphy in talks to star. So
yeah,
it was already a pretty known fact.
Back when 28 Years Later came out, I think Danny Boyle did an interview, and he was like, yeah, Cillian's not in this one, but he is at the end of the next one. And there's dropped that like it was no biggie.
Yeah, I saw people say they really liked how he was introduced in this movie, because it isn't some big reveal. You really just hear him, right? He's just talking about history, and I'm assuming that that's his daughter that we're seeing him teach, and you just hear him, and it's just a cool way to be like, this character really hasn't changed, but it's adapting, and it's trying to teach the new generation how to adapt to this world as well, and to not forget what has come before. Dan, how did you like how they dealt with old Jim, the original Jim, coming back?
To be totally honest, I found, just like the first movie, I found the ending of this a little bit jarring. Just because you're kind of totally switching gears. I understand they're trying to set up the next movie, but just it felt a little bit like a lever being pulled and going into something completely different. But excited to see him back, and I enjoyed. I think what they were talking about there is thematically relevant to these movies in the series, so I enjoyed that. But a little bit jarring, but the ending of the last movie was jarring too, so it's kind of expected. And this is what happens when you're making a trilogy, I guess.
Yeah, I feel like if you cut off the last 10 minutes of this movie and the first movie and just attached them to the follow-up movies, Dan would be like, absolute cinema. Perfect. Don't give me the Power Rangers at the end of the first one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to Dr. Kelson's conversation with, what's his name, Sir Jimmy Lord Crystal or something. Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal. That's his name. I didn't really clock it, and I mentioned it earlier, but my wife, who went and watched this movie with me, and I thought she was going to get really turned off by the gore, but then at the very end, she really enjoyed it. She didn't like that part, obviously. Not obviously. She didn't like that part. But overall, she really enjoyed the film. But I think she leaned over and whispered to me that it's just like a doctor kicking into gear again, like what he's been taught, and sees this person as a patient. Mm-hmm. And he gives this movie made me understand why some people worship Satan, which is wild. And I know that that's a crazy statement, but it's really Kelly's character, the Jimmy that befriends Spike. It's I would rather believe that a dark lord is in control of everything that is happening, rather than the world just being this shitty and random things making all this occur, because that is just a sad situation. And I would much rather follow this wig wearing crazy man than believe that there's just no hope for us, and this is just how the world is.
I'd even go a step further, and not that it's random thing, it's just people. All of this is just people. That's almost the scariest thing about this world. The infected were caused by people. Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal is doing the most horrific things around that he possibly can do. They're all just guys, you know? I think that's terrifying.
Stone, I think what you said is interesting because I think the same argument can be made for belief in God. It's almost like you're saying the argument of, oh well, God has a plan, and I feel like a it could have been interesting to see maybe a Christian in the story as well, or really someone of any faith. I mean, honestly, that was believing in something quote unquote good. Because I think, I mean, Ray Fiennes even says like, it's like a Satanist and an atheist having a conversation. But I think that's an interesting way to look at it. But yeah, I think that this movie is very much, when you think about, not only with Jack O'Connell's Jimmy Crystal, but with Samson, it's really a movie about treatment. And I mean, his treatment of a monster is more effective than his treatment of a human being. Um, and I think it's really a movie about like therapy and drugs, like medication. Like when you think about it, that's kind of the core of the movie. And I find that interesting because this isn't a movie really about zombies at all, or the action or the gore. I mean, it's a movie about like treatment when you think about it.
Yeah, I didn't clock when Emma mentioned it. There is not a lot of zombies in this movie, which is crazy.
Yeah, but that doesn't bother me, I would say.
No, I didn't even. That's the thing, is I didn't clock it.
Yeah.
My mom and I talked about it in the theater, but it didn't bother me at all.
And what's way different than the first installment last year is that this movie really only takes place in two settings. It's the first. You do have the opening scene with Spike in, like, I guess it like looks like an old gymnasium or something like that, where he does kill that member of the Jimmies. Which, as soon as, I mean, my wife's a nurse, but as soon as like they pull that out, they're like, "Oop, femoral artery, boy is dead." Automatically knew it.
Yeah.
And it was smart by Spike. It was good pantsing. Best pantsing I've seen in a while. I don't remember the last time I saw a pantsing, to be honest. But anyways,
that's good.
But mostly you just got the barn and you have the bone temple. And it's pretty impressive that this movie only takes place in two settings, and it's extremely engaging the entire time. I mean, there's movies that are just one setting movies, but when it comes to, here's 28 years later, it's a zombie action movie, lots of kills, lots of humor, can't wait to see where it takes us. And it's like, barn and bone temple, that's all you got. It's really good editing, really good filmmaking.
Do you guys think anyone will be off put by by any of the humor? Like there's some moments like with Samson and stuff that like I could see someone in a cynical frame of mind being like, all right, like the dancing and stuff. Like I think it's funny, but I could understand like a general audience person being like, well, what am I looking at?
Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was cracking up.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny.
It's so funny because it cuts from like the barn sequence to them dancing. Like it's such a ridiculous dichotomy between the two.
I think why it works is because Ray Fiennes, because his character, Dr. Kelson, kind of feels like a fun, take it easy, laid back guy, even though there's so much going on in his mind. And philosophically, you see that in the first movie, at the end of the first movie. But even at the end of the first movie, you see that he's kind and kind of jokes a little bit. He just seems like a chill dude. So I honestly didn't realize that Samson was coming back to get high for a little bit. And then once I heard like murmurs of laughing in my theater, I was like, oh, hold on a second. I get it now. So it did take me a second to be like, why is this so funny?
I think he's the character I'm most interested to see what they do in the future, because is he going to regress?
I have a theory, and I really like this theory. It's not even a theory. I feel like we're not going to see Samson again. I just think that, like you said,
It seems like such a bad choice, though.
Yeah.
I like the fact that things happen in this world, and Spike is the main character. He is the guy that we have followed in these two movies. It's just continuing to go on and meet new people. And it's just like, I like the idea of being like, there was a cure, but the world never really found it out besides one guy. And because we are so unable to communicate with each other, the world's not going to get saved and it's still going to be fucked. I think that's super fascinating.
It's also baffling to me that it's been 28 years and like this is the first time someone's tried morphine.
I saw your review say that. That is a good point.
Why did it take us 28 years to try like maybe the most popular, painkiller, whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it classifies under as.
Yeah,
I would go ahead, Emmett.
I'm sorry. I'm interested, like, do you guys think Samson goes back to being like the rageful, or do you think this is like a permanent thing? Because I've heard a lot of different takes, and I thought it was permanent, but now I guess like it was just a couple pills. Like
I kind of feel like if they wanted to show him completely regressing, they already would have done that. And he survived. Like he survives being bitten repeatedly, and doesn't do anything. Seemingly, like so. I feel like whatever happened. I mean, and they can do whatever they want from a writing perspective, but it seems permanent. That's just my take, though.
Which
I
I think
agree.
that's the best scene in the movie is the train sequence.
That's sick.
When he's like having the flashbacks and then all of a sudden he's like, I don't have a ticket, and all of a sudden it's all the infected around him. Oh, I think that's so
It was cool.
That line the line delivery is incredible of that.
Yeah, personally, I think it's not permanent. I think he goes right back to the way he was because he's just giving him medicine. Medicine isn't a permanent thing. So, I mean, Dr. Kelson even said, like, I'm going to run out of this morphine, which is medication, and you're going to go back to the way you were. And it sucks, dude. So he's just treating another part of it. Medication isn't a permanent thing. That's exactly what it is. It's medication.
True. But when he's giving him the morphine, I feel like it's different because then he's like going to euthanize him, but he's like, hey, let's try this. Let's give it one last go. And that's when he gives him the quote unquote cure as like a last resort. So I feel like he wouldn't have done that way unless he thought it would be permanent.
Yeah, I think we don't really know, like from a medical perspective, like we don't really have an understanding of what the virus is actually doing to someone's body, and then what he gave him is actually doing. So I feel like we kind of have to wait and see, but I hope we see more of him because I think,
I mean, everyone loves him.
Yeah, and I think that dynamic was the most interesting thing in the film, and just showing that like his compassion for Samson was so great. Meanwhile, Jimmy doesn't have the most basic respect for people that he meets. I thought it was really nice, and seeing like that scene with them coming together and having that conversation really was a perfect kind of like culmination of the story. But I also think we should talk about the final set piece with Iron Maiden, and like it was a lot of fun. I have a complaint. They used images of him in the marketing materials. It's a mistake. That it shouldn't be done like that. I had that image in my head, and I was wondering the whole
it's on the
film,
poster.
Like, yeah, it's to me it's just a huge mistake. And it reminds me of this fucking shit ass Brave New World Captain America, like showing everything like because you're desperate. People aren't going to watch the movies. You're like, oh, we have Red Hulk, and then it's like the whole movie's building up to Red Hulk, but we already know the twist. So it's like, and it's not like a twist. It's not like the same, but don't waste things that are awesome reveals for your audience because you're not confident in your movie. Like, you know what I mean? I found that frustrating.
It's fair.
Yeah. I do think, going to a more positive note on that same scene though, Iron Maiden is the perfect choice right there for someone who has like never truly heard music to make him think you're the devil. Yeah. That was great.
It's like, Dan, I want to add on to that is that I think that this movie is a big testament to not watching trailers, because as I was editing my video today about this film, I went and recorded some trailers. I was going to use the footage, and I didn't realize that they revealed that the Jimmies find Kelson and they think that he is Satan. I was like, that was revealed in a trailer? Because in the movie,
Yeah.
I did not, yes, in the movie, I did not know that they were going to put that together. So it hits way harder if you don't know that they're going to think he's Satan. When she's like, I saw this man who is really red, surrounded by bones, talking to the infected. I have found old Nick. I was like, that's so funny, because I would have never pictured the end of the first movie. We know the Jimmies are there and we've seen Dr. Kelson. I would have never put the two together. Like, they're going to think that this character is Satan. So finding that out in the movie was such a funny and such a clever moment from a writing perspective. I was like, that's so genius. And Jack O'Connell's just, the humor really kicks up when he meets Kelson and he's like, are you old Nick? And I love that Kelson's just like, no. He's like, I don't know what you're talking about right now. But it is funny.
The two of them together are so good. Anytime they're on screen together, it is just electric.
Yeah, I think one of the things with Jack O'Connell is like, it's his delivery. Like he has a really good cadence. He has a really good control over his like voice, and the way he delivers things. One of the biggest things I appreciate in acting is like, I hate when people are rushing. Like, it's just like not quite my tempo, and I'm like, just slow down. Like I like when people are let a scene like be slow and it doesn't feel like they're just trying to get through their line. I think he's really good at that, and it feels like he's very much in control of every situation he's in until he isn't at the very end, which makes that very satisfying, I think. But yeah, Jack's very good, and I'm glad he's kind of having a moment right now, and hope it continues.
Absolutely.
When it comes to his moment that he's having right now and his characters that he's playing, can you guys think of anybody else besides Jack O'Connell that has played two villains like this? Like two iconic villains? Because obviously with the impact that Sinners had, Sinners, well, you got Voldemort, and then what's the other one?
Schindler's List.
Oh, Schindler's List. Okay.
Yeah.
Soon to be President Snow.
That is true. You got
yeah.
That shows his range, man. Like Ray Fiennes has, but he's like the nicest guy in the world in this movie. And then you have fucking Budapest Hotel. Ray Fiennes is like, this guy is so underappreciated. He is 63 years old, and he's completely nude in this movie, covered in fucking iodine. And then he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna like dance to Iron Maiden and just be absolutely crazy. And I'm just like, that's so cool that an actor just doesn't give a shit about anything. And he's like, this looks like a lot of fun, and I'm gonna do it. And I'm just like applauding him. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Similar energy to Willem Dafoe. I feel like with Ray Fiennes, like they're both just these big, very confident performers who will try anything. I mean, I saw, there's a lot of different Willem Dafoes in movies. I've seen him completely covered in shit and inside just like
it's a good comparison.
Sweating. Like he will do pretty much anything, and has a lot of fun, and seems like they both seem like kind people. So big fan of both of them.
Yeah, I forgot he's going to play President Snow. The casting in that new Hunger Games movie it's pretty good. I mean, you got him and Jesse Plemons, Glenn Close too. That's a good cast. You go back and you watch the Hunger Games movies, and you're like, damn, these casts are pretty good. I was I don't know, 14 or 15 years old when the first one came out, so I didn't even realize like, oh, that's Philip Seymour Hoffman. That's Lenny Kravitz. That's Jeffrey Wright. No clue. I feel like I've talked about this before, but Donald Sutherland. I mean,
yeah. But one question I had about Samson, maybe you guys know the answer to. Like, he's given his strength by the rage virus, correct? but then once his mind is clear, he's still like just like breaking people in half on the train and like snapping arm. Like he's doing things that seem to be like inhuman feats of strength. And I was curious if anyone else noticed that or had any thoughts about that.
Yeah, definitely noticed it. I'm also interested in what that means. I think maybe it's almost like because we see him get like the blood on him too, and he doesn't get reinfected. So I think he
gets
like
bitten.
might be infected. Like he is infected. He's just clear, like it's dormant almost, which could be like he might even be contagious.
That's interesting.
I don't know. I
And
don't know.
they do have the conversation about like Ray Fiennes, I think, literally says like, "Are you still in there?" And it's like the rage virus is over, like a layer over your mind. So maybe it's like now the roles are reversed, where the virus is still present, but
Mm.
the human is in control, which is almost more interesting than just being completely fine. Um, but I thought that was funny, given, I mean, with his name being Samson.
It's fitting.
Yeah.
Big movies recently for the name Samson. You got this and Wake Up Dead Man. No, Samson's represented.
Yeah.
But I think
Yeah.
you're not going to like my answer though, but I think the fact that Samson is still so strong, I think is evidence that the virus is still there and this is just a temporary medication and it's just going to overtake him again after it's gone. I mean, I don't see what Kelson did as a permanent cure. In my mind, it just doesn't process it that way. What do you guys want to see in the third movie? Because I saw someone with this theory and I don't like it because I don't care if we see Aaron Taylor Johnson again. I really don't. I don't, and I like that Samson. One thing I was surprised by in this movie that Kelson didn't talk about or didn't acknowledge, and then also it wasn't brought up with Samson, is that I think that the baby in the first movie is Samson's child. And I thought that was going to factor into the plot of this film. And also, Kelson goes out and gets that woman's bones, and he's a doctor. So I thought he was going to maybe do some research on the corpse and try to figure out like how this is possible. Now he does say in the very first film, he says the magic of the placenta. So maybe that's just it. But I like it. I really, really like it if they don't show Samson again, because it makes me in the third movie, because it makes me think about the first movie and that Aaron Taylor Johnson and the baby are just not acknowledged in this movie. I like stuff being introduced and it seems like the stories have kind of concluded and then you just leave it. Like with Samson, you guys, obviously everyone wants to see Samson again, but it feels like Samson arc concluded with the death of Kelson. They're so intertwined with each other. I mean, even in the first movie, at the end of the first movie, there's Samson, there's Dr. Kelson. So I don't really need to see more of Samson. I saw someone say maybe the third movie would be Aaron Taylor Johnson trying to find Spike, and maybe he runs into Samson, and that's where you see the two characters again. But I'm like, I don't really want that, to be honest. I think Cillian Murphy, I would like to see it back in the city, to be honest, but I don't think they're going to get the budget for that.
Yeah, that's true.
I think it could be interesting as a like from a philosophical perspective or like a writing perspective, like if you want to close the like circle of abuse loop you've kind of opened here with him being abused by his father and then being pulled into the Jimmies where you have this kind of fatherly abuser and him kind of like learning to understand what that system looks like and then getting away from it, and then you want to bring him back to his father now as a grown man, like and see them interact and maybe see him process that or address it with him. Could be interesting, but I kind of agree with you, Stone. I feel like Aaron Taylor Johnson was in like it was 4 movies ago. Like that's just like,
yeah.
But I also, I mean, I really enjoyed the first third of 28 years. But yeah, I don't know. And I do think I just wanted to say quickly on that idea, like doing what they did with Jimmy Savile, the idea that, the virus broke in 2002, right? I think around there.
Yeah.
And just the idea of Britain not knowing that basically their Mr. Rogers was a pedophile, and just this completely fractured individual, um, like latching on to that persona to lead children without even knowing what he was, because that didn't come out until like I want to say 2011, 2012. It was like 10 years later. It is a really interesting idea. I just, I'm glad they didn't go down any kind of like, essay of kid. Like I just was like, just it would have been that would have been really strange to me. Or like if they tried to like really dig into it being a direct comparison, but I like that they kind of left it as just, he still kind of idolized this person. He watched a lot of television. This is the idea, but um, something I saw people talking about is like, hopefully we won't see a million Halloween costumes of like fucking Jimmy Savile, like because Americans being completely brain dead will just do that and not understand and just not care. But that's kind of my thoughts on the third movie. I don't really know what to expect.
That's so fun too. You don't know.
Yeah. I could see it going so many different ways. I personally think I do want to see Aaron Taylor Johnson and that baby again. They don't have to be like major roles necessarily, but I do think it is, like, assuming we're following Spike in the third, which I think is safe to say, I do think it is important to his character. And I think Jamie was Aaron Taylor Johnson's character's name in that. I think he's such an interesting character that I like the idea of following up on him a couple, I don't know how long it'll be, maybe months, years, whatever, and seeing what losing Spike did to him, what losing his wife did to him. Because like in that first movie, I mean, he's not like a good guy, but he does like he's trying in this horrific world, and he's kind of trying. He sucks, and I think it's just a really interesting balance of those two things. And then he obviously breaks, but he almost kind of has respect for Spike for standing up for him at the same time. And I think all of that is really interesting, and I'd love to see where losing Spike took him.
And if you do bring back both him and the child, and if the child is Samson's and you bring back Samson, and then you have Alfie, and maybe you have a situation where Jim is almost stepping in like an actual normal father figure for Alfie, you can kind of get all these wheels turning and maybe craft something really interesting in the end. But there's so many moving pieces. Like I kind of think the third movie is going to be bad. Like I'm going to be so blunt. It's just my gut feeling, and I hate saying that, but I don't know. Something about that ending, I was like, oh, all right. I don't like nostalgia bait shit. I'm just like, I don't know. Do something new. But
did you think that the second movie was going to be good after you saw the ending of the first movie?
I didn't really have any thoughts. I thought it could go either way. Like I said, I mean, I was excited at the concept of DaCosta directing. Because I don't like Danny Boyle's direction much in either of those movies. I think the filmmaking itself is so distracting, and for me, I don't want to be reminded that I'm watching a movie. I want to just settle into a story, and it's just like, oh, look at this, look what I can do. It's like, all right, dude, I understand, but like I'm just trying to see the story about the people. But yeah. And I know that's not, everyone doesn't think about that the same way. That's my personal stance.
I feel like assuming the third one is like the end of all of this, which I feel like it probably will be. I don't know unless it makes a ton of money, but I don't think it will. If it's like the end all, I almost feel like it has to end with either the infected getting out of Britain or the cure being a thing. Like I feel like he is going to want to close it in an optimistic way, whether that's like, oh, I kind of thought Jimmy in this movie would be like, we're going to get revenge on the rest of the world or whatever and try and spread it in some way. But like, I think one of those two things has to play a role in some capacity.
Can I? I'm gonna be very blunt. I'm almost 100% sure that this will not end optimistically. It's just that's just not how Alex Garland operates.
Fair.
The end of Annihilation, not an optimistic ending.
Yeah.
The end of Men, not an optimistic ending. The end of Civil War, I don't think that's an optimistic ending. So he is very, great point. I totally, yes, perfect. It's just how the guy writes. He takes a very cynical approach to his movies that are very interesting, or to his scripts that are very interesting. And something that you mentioned, Dan, and then you also talked about, Emmett, that I think a lot of people are forgetting when it comes to the third movie. Unlike the first and the second movie, where they were filmed back to back, so it's a direct continuation of the story. There will be a serious gap, probably of years, which also makes me think that Samson is not going to be cured, just chilling this entire time, and will go back to his old ways. But Alfie Williams, I'm looking at a picture of him right now. Dude is taller than Jack O'Connell now. Like, he has grown so much. So you have to explain that. They haven't even shot the movie. He's going to be huge. It will be a few years in between this movie and the third one.
What if Samson takes up the work of Dr. Kelson and tries to find a cure?
Dr. Kelson is writing everything down. They do linger on that.
Someone also pointed this out, and I think I gave a good counter argument, is the fact that Samson was turned into an infected zombie when he was 8 years old. So cognitively, I don't think he would be able to interpret anything that Kelson has written down. Personally, I think that they're just not on the same level. He goes, moon.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, that's not.
He has all those medical books, though. He could educate himself.
It could kind of be like a Frankenstein's monster. Like, he just read books and learned.
Imagine we come back. He's got glasses and he's just down there reading at the opening of the third movie.
He could.
It's like
he's got a suit on.
It's like Beast and X-Men.
He could even just spitballing. Maybe he knows that kid is with this village and he trades the cure information for the kid, or maybe there's something where he brings the knowledge to Cillian Murphy or to some group here, even if he doesn't understand it.
I don't know.
I know.
I'm
came
hoping
back
he's
later.
still cured. I'm hoping.
I had a kid that woke up, but what I want to see in the third, I want those two kids to come back from 28 weeks later that were just immune, and their mom was immune too, and maybe that plays into some way with the cure.
I don't think they'll do that just because Garland didn't write.
I don't think they will either.
They kind of sent that movie into the shadow realm.
Yeah, but I want that back because I like 28 weeks.
Yeah, same. I will say, Stone, I think this movie's pretty optimistic, I would say, in its tone over. All things considered, in the end, it's a pretty uplifting ending, I would say. Because you have a person in Jimmy Inc. Completely broken away from this horrible system and able to grow and become a better person. You have Spike's soul kind of saved. I mean, this whole movie is just a battle for his soul to see what's going to happen with him, and will he just give in to all this crap that is going on and just say, I have power now, I have control, I have these people, it's fine, or will he not? I mean, you have Jack O'Connell getting crucified, all good stuff. I mean, Coulson dies, and that was sad, definitely, but I thought it was a pretty optimistic ending.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the first and the second one, a main character dies of the both of them, and it's really sad. And then, I mean, at the end of each one, Spike is almost being killed by infected, but it is optimistic. I like what they're doing with Spike. I think his journey is very optimistic, and what Garland is doing with this character. I will say that, but I just think that Garland is pretty tough sometimes when it comes to what he chooses to write and everything. I don't know. I don't see it being all hopeful at the very end, personally. Maybe for the character, but not for the setting of the world.
That's fair.
I don't think they're gonna find a cure and everyone's gonna be like saved and be like yippee, and Samson's gonna be like at a podium being like, I was an affected young boy, but now I'm a man. Dr. Shelton. That'd be wild.
Do you think the pregnant girl that got away from the barn comes back in any type of way?
Yeah, I felt like kind of a thread hanging in the wind in this movie, but I mean, I feel like it would make sense, but I don't know.
Would be
Leave
interesting.
them all. Leave them all. I don't want to see anybody. Also, I think when you bring back all these loose ends, like Dan was talking about, like if you bring back Samson, if you bring back Jamie, I think you said Aaron Taylor Johnson's character's name. If you bring back the baby, if you bring back that pregnant woman, and then you join them with Kelly and Spike and Killian and Killian's daughter, who knows if the main female lead from the first movie, Selena, who knows if she's alive? Right? We think maybe she's dead because the two of them are only in the house, but we don't know that for sure. And then probably this third movie is going to introduce some new character. So that's a lot of people at the very end of a trilogy to try to fit all together. And personally, I think it would be really smooth if it's just Spike's journey again with another new person, because that's what the first and the second movie have been. Just him coming through people, coming through different stories and just keep on moving, seeing what he's learned.
I think there's an interesting dynamic to be played out there, though. If like Spike, I'm forgetting the girl's name, the other Jimmy, that arrive at Killian's place at the end of this one. If like they're with Killian, they're like gaining his trust, and then they run into the pregnant girl, and she's like, "That's who ripped off the skin of my entire family."
That is interesting. Because maybe they'll be hesitant to tell him who they are, what they've been doing. I like that, Connor.
Yeah. Also, she'll have a baby probably by that point.
Yeah.
Or she will.
Yeah.
If everything goes well.
Yeah.
But any final thoughts?
I feel like they didn't market the movie. That's really my overwhelming thought here. I'm tired of seeing people say this came out or this is out. Like what? Like so many people have said it, and I just like they have the money. Like the money is there, and it doesn't take much. And like I find it frustrating because I don't like seeing good movies not get seen. And they spent $60 million in the movie, so like fucking market the movie. Well,
I read a Deadline thing right before we started recording this. Apparently, they had a $70 million marketing budget, and I did not see that anywhere.
Was it in like newspaper ads? Like what?
Their target audience is my grandpa.
Yeah, like they in the funny papers. Like what are we?
I was gonna say like I saw this with my mom, but through my watch this last week, I've been talking to her about it, and she was like, "Yeah, I love the new one," and she said that on like Saturday morning, and I was like, "Did you see it already?" And she goes, "Yeah." And she's like, "I just watched it on what's it on Hulu right now or something," and I was like, "No, like the Bone Temple," and she's like, "Yeah, with Ray Fiennes," and I was like, "I don't think we're talking about the same movie." So even she didn't know about it, and she's pretty up to date on movies. So
I do think a lot of people think it's the same movie. Like I've gotten a lot of comments that are just like, "Oh, I saw this last year. It sucked," and it's like, no,
I got that too. I'm like, bro, I'm talking about a movie here. Like I'm reviewing a movie. Like, holy shit.
Maybe they should just name it something else. Because I when your mom's saying that, like, oh, the Bone Temple, yeah, it had a Bone Temple in it. It's like, yeah, I saw the one with the Bone Temple. And it's like you're reusing the same set. I think that maybe people are getting confused.
I was like, we're having a conversation here, but we're not on the same wavelength.
Yeah, my hope is that more people. I mean, the last movie just broke even. It didn't. I don't think it made money. I think it was exactly pretty much kind of down the middle. So this is just. I just think it's a better movie. I don't know, but
it got an A- cinema score. So hopefully, which is crazy. I cannot believe that this got an A- cinema score because usually horror movies do not get that high of scores. Especially this one's super violent too. I don't think Terrifier 3 had an A-. Maybe it did. I don't know. But hopefully word of mouth helps it. It's going to need to really help it. But like I said, the third one's greenlit. So we're getting it. And when you're talking about the marketing budget, the most I saw for marketing for this film was just early reactions. Like they knew what they had on their hand and they like showed people this movie like a month ago. Totally. And everyone's like, dude, it fucking rocks. And then that's just been for weeks. That's just been like everyone who's seen this movie has liked it. I don't know how that cost $70 million though.
It's so annoying when that happens that everyone says like, I reviewed this movie and everyone's like, you got paid. You're paid. It's like, shut the fuck up. No one's paying me shit. No one's paying me. I just like the movie. Like, it's a good movie. Like, if I don't like stuff, I don't like anything. But if I like stuff, I got paid.
This is an actual question. Do you ever get like, do people ever think you're getting paid by some political party for any of your videos on that? Since you post a lot about politics.
I've had people not think I'm paid by political parties, but think I'm paid by other places, which is funny to me. I won't get into that, but not so much political parties.
I thought Dan was about to say, I actually am getting paid.
Yes, I'm on the payroll for, never mind. But yeah, I just talk about whatever pops into my head, everyone. That's pretty much it. So.
No, you're for sure paid. And you don't say positive things about movies. That's all we know about you.
Whatever pops into your bank account.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think we all agree that, 2026 opened up with a really solid movie, probably the best movie so far of the year. I mean, could have some Primate lovers out there. Dan, did you watch Primate? Come on.
No, I'm good.
The chimp? Okay. I got to watch that movie back in September, and I was like, I think this is bad. And then a lot of people agree with me that aren't horror people. Horror people liked it, but then everyone else is like, It's kind of what you're saying, Dan. It's like, it's a story that you've seen a million times before. It feels like a Blumhouse movie. The only two positives that you can say, it's pretty violent, pretty good practical effects, and then the chimp looks good. Everything else you have seen a million times.
Can we have a 2-minute conversation about that movie? Because there was something I meant to make a video on, because Grace Randolph, I guess, she's like a popular critic and she does Rotten Tomatoes stuff. And she, I guess, walked out of the movie with like a third of it left and said that on Rotten Tomatoes and gave it a rotten review. And people were like losing their minds. I feel like my opinion on this is hot. I don't give a flip. If you follow a critic and they're watching thousands of movies over a couple of years as you follow them, and you follow them because you follow a critic for one of two reasons: you agree with them and you appreciate their taste and they help steer you towards stuff that's worth your money, or you generally disagree with them but you find their opinions interesting. Like, there's no other like, everyone shouldn't follow every critic. Like, if I was just a random person, I probably shouldn't necessarily follow all three of you or 5 other people, because like, I'm trying to find someone who aligns with my opinion. Like, there's different people for everyone. But if I trust you and you say this is dog shit, it's so bad I walked out, and I know that you don't do that often, like, that's part of a review. And like, Ebert did that multiple times, did that with Caligula, famously wrote about it. Like, he hated the movie, so he left. And like, if you respect his opinion, it's part of, that's a review. Like, and it's not like she watched 10 minutes of it. The last 1/3 of Primate, if you don't like the first 2/3 of Primate, I'm assuming it's not going to become fucking Citizen Kane. Like, let's be real. So like, I just, the reaction to me was so overblown, and I don't know. There's just bigger shit to worry about. But I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, Grace Randolph is already controversial, so I think that
I don't know much about her. Like, I don't know any but of her controversies or anything. So
I actually only I watched one of her things. I like when she breaks down the box office. I watch one video of her a week, and it's box office breakdown. That's the only thing I watch, because she also talks about like streaming charts and what shows are doing really well and what movies are streaming really well. That's the only video I watch. But she's annoying as hell. My wife's always like, hello, like that's how she talks. My wife always like imitates her, but that is how she sounds.
Yeah, and I also think it's also sort of a reflect, like, the Rotten Tomatoes system is bad. Like, and I think that maybe is the more interesting conversation. Like, people are upset that it's a negative review and then that counts towards the rotten score. But like, the whole system's broken. it's also bought and paid for. Like, it's a studio arm. Like it's not real. Like most people are not taking that seriously in 2026 anyway. So like, I mean, you can take it into consideration, but then like look at IMDb, look at Cinema Score, whatever you said, Stone. Look at Letter, but like there's a plethora of options to get a feel for something. But again, use a critic that you trust. Like that's it's just I don't know. I just thought it was interesting.
I'm gonna give you another example. Do you think someone is allowed to review an album if the album is 12 songs long and you're not enjoying 10 of them and you stop listening to it and you put out a review for the entire thing? Or is that different? Like you don't listen to the last 2 songs because you're like, well, the first 10 aren't good, so I'm not gonna listen to the rest of it, but you're reviewing the entire album.
I think that's different.
I think it's generally different. I also think it kind of depends on the album. There are albums that like if there are albums where every track is very much its own thing and very unique. And I think like if that's the experience, you might like 11 and 12 could be something you really love.
Okay.
I also think like frequency is important. Like if you're constantly like if you're reviewing music and you're constantly like, oh, I didn't finish it, or if you're watching movies and you're constantly like, oh, I walked out like once a month, like I won't take you that seriously. But like, I don't think I've ever walked out of something, but I'm not like, oh, you can't walk out of something, you're not a real critic. Well, like it's not that serious. Like, so I think it's if you're doing it all the time, it's a different situation, I guess.
I don't know why when you asked that question, Stone, my mind immediately went to like 2014 Forest Hills Drive and how different the songs on that album are. I'm like, I think that's way different than a movie.
Yeah, but that's a good album. So
I agree. I've just been listening to a lot of J. Cole recently because he's dropping a new album finally.
Dan, you don't think that album's good?
It's okay.
Oh, Dan.
It's all right.
Dan.
I think J. Cole's a little bit overrated, but
Dan, can I call you out on what you texted me after your video today? Because I'm looking at Connor's Clockwork Orange.
Yes, sure.
It was pretty funny, but Dan came out with a very good video that I think is doing well, which it should be doing well because it's a very fascinating topic. And you gave some information or added some information that I didn't know about, but it was basically how a lot of villains are depicted drinking milk and why that might be, and very, very informative. Well, I was commenting on it. And I said basically in it that I grew up drinking milk because my parents just made it a normal thing. But then as I grew older, I realized that it's a lot to take and I don't really do it really ever. And then Dan messaged me. He's like, dude, I pound milk all the time.
Oh, yeah. You don't?
Big milk guy.
So spicy stuff.
If Big Milk is listening to this, don't assassinate me because I am a consumer of your product. So shout out to Big Milk.
Dude, I'm myself some chocolate milk.
Ooh, that's good stuff. I will admit that.
Everything except skim milk is just water.
No, that's what I grew up drinking. I didn't know what whole milk was. Yeah.
You need a hug.
Even 1% it's like 1%, 2%. Whole milk's like kind of gross. It's too much fat. Like 2%'s the peak. Whole milk 1%. Yeah. Skim's on the floor. It's
2%.
2% is what I grew up on, and I still have.
It is.
Oh, it's got to be one of the funniest things we've ever said on this. But 2% is peak, bro.
It's the best milk. Objectively.
Stone, please clip the milk argument.
Milk argument? All right. Well, is milk trending right now? I don't want to make a fucking take 3 hours to make a milk argument that has
200 views. Talking milk.
Guys, what movies? Is there a horror movie in 2026 that you're looking forward to? Now that this one's come out,
Scream 7.
Which one?
Scream 7.
I
mean, like, I also let me preface. I think the movie's going to be dog shit. But I also just love the Scream franchise, and I'm excited to see Ghostface. And I also feel like this is probably going to be the last Scream.
They'll never stop because there's always more money to be made.
But
very true.
I don't know. I'm a Scream 6 defender. I like that movie, and I also don't like horror, so that's about the only answer I could give you.
Emmett, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I've got two that immediately come to mind. I don't want to ramble too long, but Zach Kreger's Resident Evil with Austin Abrams. I love the weapon, so I'm very excited for that. And the A24 The Backrooms movie, I'm so fascinated by. I think they got the guy who did like the YouTube series. He's like the youngest director they've ever had. It's starring oh my god, I forget who she was in Sentimental Value, A Different Man, Worst Person. I can't think of her name. Thank you. And like
Geofor is in it too, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's like I'm so
Wild
interested
cast.
by
Somebody else as well, I think. Someone else relatively famous.
It's got such a great cast. It's been in development for a bit. I'm really interested in it.
Mark Duplass. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned that movie because I don't know how like my feed works on Twitter or anything like that, but randomly on Twitter today, some account popped up that's like Backrooms update, and it was like, we have this like poster from the movie that was leaked, and they said it was leaked, and I looked at it. It was like the shittiest looking poster I've ever seen. I'm like, that's not real. If that is real, everyone deserves to be fired. It looked terrible. So, and I think they commented on it. I did interact with it, and they commented on it later, and they're like, I think this is fake. I was like, thank goodness, because it looks terrible.
Can I get mine, Stone?
Absolutely.
I'm excited for Werewolf at the end of the year. From Robert Eggers. I'm excited for the Clayface movie, which is allegedly in September. I'm also excited for Hokum, which is the new Damian McCarthy movie.
You took mine.
I'm sorry. Obsession also looks good, which we talked about last week. Also, we talked about last week, They Will Kill You. And The Bride, which I think is going to be very good or really, really, really bad. And either way, I think will be entertaining.
I agree,
but
too.
probably good. I would bet on good.
You ready for this? I'm so sorry, Connor. I will not interrupt you. You go right ahead.
No, it was your turn. I was about to interrupt you.
No, interrupt me. Here, I'll start. Go ahead. I want to be interrupted. I deserve it.
I was also going to throw out there new shark movie from the director of Deep Blue Sea coming out on May 1st called Deepwater.
Is it a sequel?
Nice. No.
There
are 2 sequels to Deep Blue Sea. Don't watch them.
By the same director?
No, they're bad.
Oh, I'm looking at something super sad. I'm looking at 2026 horror movies, and there it is, a mock poster of Jordan Peele's next film that's just never going to come out. Who knows when that's ever going to be a thing? But
we got him last year. That was a Jordan Peele film. If you ask everyone,
right? Yeah, Jordan Peele's next movie.
Yeah. You know what? This is going to be a great plug. I'm excited for Return to Silent Hill, which is the movie that we're going to be covering on this podcast next week. So I'm pumped for that, but I'm also pumped that we got Emmett, Ebba, you got it. Ebba. Okay. I Super Ebba on the podcast for his first time. Thank you everybody for listening to us, listening to him. I hope you enjoyed your time here. Talking about 28 years later. Before we go, if you've liked Emmett, he's a super nice guy, super informative, put so much work into all of this stuff. Let them know where they can find you.
Oh, you're too nice, man. Just iSuperEva on everything, just like it's spelled down here. Thank you guys so much for having me. I had a great time. I hope to be back, talk to you guys again sometime.
Absolutely.
I just want everyone to remember that he did call me a nice guy, even though I did interrupt Connor and got called out for it earlier on this episode, which I've been thinking about. Like, that's the biggest horror of this week so far, more than even 20 years later.
It'll be okay, Stone. It'll be okay.
I'm about to cry. I've had nightmares for the last 2 nights, and that'll probably be a third night tonight. So thank you for that, Connor.
Quick, you want to talk about nightmares? I got a 8-month-old son in that room, and after watching these movies this week at like midnight, and he screamed over the monitor when I was walking down the dark hallway, was terrifying.
Yeah.
Sorry. That was my sidebar.
It's okay. Scary.
You can interrupt me. No problem, brother. Anyways, until next week. Oh wait, please follow Emmett on all his socials. Please do that.
Yeah.
Such a great guy, such a great creator. Tune in next week for Return to Silent Hill. Super excited. The director from 2006's Silent Hill is coming back to make a direct sequel. Super promising. Very different movie for January, but stay in tune for that. But please, this week, go outside, sit on a park bench, touch some grass, call up some friends, watch some TV. Hey, new Game of Thrones show coming out tonight, premiering right now. Maybe that'll be good. But until then, peace out, everybody. Cut it.